So can I refuse to do a field sobriety test or refuse to provide my identification if pulled over?
So refuse is a word that I don't like to use because the police like to use it. You can decline. You can not consent. You don't have to volunteer. Now, we don't necessarily understand when they're asking us to step out of our vehicle to come over here and perform these tests, whether that's a command, whether it's an option, or whether it's just the standard protocol. Most people have never ever been through a scenario like this in their life, and it's really scary. So a lot of times people just go with the flow. The fact is that you can decline to participate in any sort of field sobriety testing. The caveat on that is that doesn't necessarily make your case go away, but the officers can still find that there's probable cause to arrest you based on other information they've received. Fine, let them. Understand that there's a difference between those preliminary field sobriety testing being parts of an investigation of a collateral criminal matter being operating under the influence of drugs or alcohol versus what you are compelled to take under your driving privileges under Michigan's implied consent law. That's the breathalyzer or the blood test after the arrest. These are very different assessments that people often confuse. PBT, the breath test that you take on the side of the road, the preliminary breath test, that cannot be used as evidence of your guilt. It is, however, one of the components that the officers may rely on as forming probable cause to support the underlying arrest. So of the tests that you should take and don't take, well, try to keep it objective. If you have relevant medical conditions, things with your eyes, things with your speech, things with your knees, things with your hips, things with orientation, if you've seen a dentist in the last week and maybe you're under some laughing gas for having a root canal removed, all of these things could be relevant. Don't assume they're not. And when the officer asks if you have anything that might affect it, don't say no. Say, I'm not sure.
All right, so what about something as basic as my identification? Do I have to give them my ID?
That is something. Now, if you're operating a motor vehicle, you have to have a driver's license. You have to show that you have the ability to legally operate that motor vehicle. If you're a pedestrian, the circumstances can change. Depends if you're a pedestrian in a vehicle, on a road. But we know as a driver, you do have the duty and obligation to provide identification. That in itself and the refusal to do so, as the driver of a motor vehicle in Michigan, can result in your arrest for a misdemeanor crime.